Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I find you all well this afternoon. Welcome to this webinar. I'm David Sealey. I'm Director of Strategy and Growth at CACI. I'll do a bit more of an intro in a moment. We've got a few people still joining the webinar at the moment, but I hope wherever you are, you're safe and well, and have a cup of tea for the next kind of 30-40 minutes as we take you through our view on achieving omnichannel personalisation. Whilst we wait for everybody to join, I will just start off with a bit of an introduction towards today's webinar. My name is David, as I said a moment ago. I'm the Director of Strategy and Growth at CACI. What my job really entails is ensuring that everything we do, everything we create, everything we market is a good fit for what our clients need from us. So I work with our partners heavily. I work in a pre-sales capacity with our sales team, and also work around proposition development at CACI to make sure there's that good fit there. My background is in both management and technology consultancy. And that's really why I'm very excited to share with you what we've got to share today. And it's been something we've been working on with our technology partners, Braze, Tealium and Snowflake. We think we've got some really important answers for the industry today. And I hope that as we go through this deck that you'll see our thinking and feel as excited as we do about this proposition. My contact details are there. Should any of you want to reach out after this and ask any questions, please do so. We'll be taking questions in the chat as I go through. However, I won't be stopping during the presentation to answer questions. There'll be a section at the end where I'll answer any that come up. I'm going to turn off my webcam. Nobody needs to see me that much. Obviously, I'm big on screen there, so that's going off. Right, just by way of introduction, for those on the call who maybe haven't heard about CACI before, our mission is to do amazing things with data for our clients, and that can involve bringing together lots of disparate data across an organisation to form a single view of who the customer is for them, and we're talking a lot about that today. We also provide customer segmentations and market segmentations. The UK's leading banks use those. We take in huge amounts of data for one of our utility clients for their smart meter data. So you can imagine the volumes of data we're processing there from customer smart meters. We also take in a huge amount of data from the banks, the lenders, the savings accounts, and then package that up into insight that then the financial services industry takes back to help guide them in terms of product design and marketing strategy. And then finally, we do use data in a way to engage our clients' customers better. And so for a UK broadcaster, we use their data really well along with the Braze marketing platform to send out personalised view of communication. So we're trying to be all the time at the cutting edge of making data more relevant in organisations and getting more insight and value from that data for the organisation to serve customers with better marketing. So you see this every time you see an agency. This is the clients we work with. We work with some fantastic clients. We are very, very privileged to work with the organisations we do. We've worked with 2,000 organisations this past financial year. We've just wrapped up our financial year, and we're excited about what lies ahead for working with these organisations. The point with this slide for me is making the point to you as the listeners today that we're going in to meet clients across sectors. We're meeting senior marketing technology leaders, and they are having the same kinds of challenges across organisations when it comes to delivering personalisation across all of their channels and doing that in a way that generates good ROI for their business. And that's the challenge I'm leaning into today with this webinar, and I hope you find the insights interesting. So let me talk about marketing to the individual. We at CACI recently did a major piece of research, and we're just about to repeat that research again into how COVID-19 and lockdown has affected the UK population. And as many of you know, CACI has a demographic profile for every postcode individual in the UK. And when we analysed our COVID research data against those customer segments, we've seen massive differences in how lockdown and COVID-19 has affected different groups of customers. So if somebody is in the city sophisticate segment, they typically working in a well-paying job, living in a city centre somewhere, their post-lockdown spending is going to increase from that which they were spending before lockdown happened. They're going to be spending more, or will be starting even now to spend more. And in terms of what they expect, they're expecting to switch to premium brands. They want to spend more on high quality goods. And when they're making decisions about when to go out and where to go out, they think primarily about the proximity to the store. They want to avoid using public transport and somewhere they can walk or cycle to or get to safely. We then compare that with the striving families, typically living in suburbs, multiple children at home, split household income, maybe one parent working part-time, etc. Their expectations with lockdown is that they're going to return to their pre-lockdown spending habits, but typically they've seen a change in their disposable income, which has affected them. In terms of their shopping habits, people in the striving families demographic group are reporting they're going to have to do more around shopping, about to find the best value and best deals for them. And when they're making considerations about where to go, where to shop, it's the safety of the store. Now, I wanted to call out that this is from a major research pack. I just wanted to call out these two kind of groups of customers and challenge marketers to think about, if you were serving marketing messages to your customer base, it's likely that you have customers who sit in these two segments in there. How are you going to adjust your marketing messages and the channels you use and the type of offer you make based on which group they sit in? And that for me is something I've been passionate about for years, is this idea that we have lots of data available to us and we need to use that to serve a better message to our customers. We also need to consider, on the back of COVID-19, and this isn't a COVID-19 presentation today, that 80% of consumers in your customer database will have experienced a change in their circumstances. So probably around half of them are going to be working from home at the moment. Around 20% will be furloughed, 20% will still be at their usual place of work, but 14% will have experienced reduced salary due to coronavirus. And this research was done in May. We're going to be doing another one, and at the time 24% of people said that they have less disposable income now than they did before the pandemic struck. So when you're considering your marketing plans and your marketing strategy and how you use data, it's super important to personalize to the customer. And on a recent panel that I took part in, I was asked a question about what have you learned and what's changed in the lockdown period. And I said, well, one of the things that hasn't changed is that we as marketers need to still have a really good understanding of who our customers are, what they think, how they behave, where they go, and what they do, and then be able to act on it. That's always been what the industry's wanted us to move towards, and that still is the thing that we all need to achieve. 63% of customers, as recent bit of research by Harris Research, 63% expect personalisation when they're on a website, when they're getting an email, when they're getting a push message. But then conversely, separate piece of research, exactly the same number though, 63% of customers have said that they would stop using companies who provide poor personalisation. So customers expect it. However, if we get it wrong, we can expect to start losing customers or start experiencing them shopping round. And with the backdrop of COVID-19 and the effect that's had on people's disposable income, we can expect more customers to go out searching for value if they're not getting the right messages from us as a brand. There was another startling stat I saw the other day, which is that 80% of personalisation projects will be abandoned by 2025. And the reason for that abandonment is stated as they won't deliver the expected ROI. And you know, I've worked in marketing technology and data-led marketing for quite a period of time now, and I think it's time that we all try something a bit different. And today's webinar is about presenting something a bit different, where we bring together an ecosystem of CACI plus 3 of our partners in Braze, Tealium and Snowflake to present to you all what we think the future customer personalization platform, harder to say than it was to write, looks like. So a new approach. Before I get into the approach, let me just touch on some of the reasons, and this is based on our experience as a business of working across all sectors, brands of different size, whether it's short, quick, snappy sale like you see in retail, through to long considered purchases like you see in automotive or financial services. Achieving personalisation in any industry is challenging, and there's 5 reasons for that. No single view of the customer, channels and tools disconnected, data's disconnected, there's siloed decision making happening, and there's operational inefficiency happening as well. And all of those 5 things combine together to make it really hard to pull off personalisation. Let me talk about the first one in a bit more detail. No single view of the customer, and I appreciate if some of you have seen these types of slides before or have had these kind of messages, but I wanted to stress that this still remains challenging for lots of businesses. We find that on the customer, you've got records in your finance system, you've got CRM records, you've got an email address in an ESP potentially, you've got the physical mailing address of that customer, but then you have all of these new digital identifiers as well. I say new, but they've been around for a long time now, yet people are still struggling to get hold of them. Things like cookie address IDs, mobile device IDs, IP address of their internet connection, social media handles. All of those digital identifiers combined with the physical identifiers of who that customer really is are hard to stitch together and match into some kind of graph of who the individual really is. We also have to consider that marketing technology and tools are disconnected. So this is a great stat from Scott Brinker, who writes for the Chief MarTech, and that's his business, and he does the great seminars each year. He's reported and been tracking this, that the average enterprise is using 91 marketing cloud services, and that number is only expected to grow. As you can see in the chart on the right there, the growth of the MarTech landscape has been quite phenomenal from 2011 to 2020, tracking a very steady course northwards. And as we try and connect more channels and we try and achieve more as marketers, we find that we keep on adding new tools to our toolkit and ending up with more services that aren't connected together. And that leads to some of the challenges I'm about to talk about. One of those being disconnected data. This is a metaphor I like to use. I've probably stretched it beyond all recognition, but if we consider that water is something we all rely on, is fairly essential to life, right? We have water in different shapes and sizes, and water reminds me very much of data. We have the ocean, we've got huge quantities of water in the ocean, we have huge quantities of data available in logs, in warehouses, that we have access to as marketers would like to get better access to. Water is also like a river. It's fast moving, it's very powerful, and if we need to get something from that water, it can be really difficult to do, and it can be very difficult to divert that flow of data off into other purposes. And so for me, data is like a river flowing through an organization. We then probably have my least favorite but most used type of water, which is the water in a glass. This reminds me of an Excel file or something like that. You see these popping up around organizations, an Excel or CSV sheet full of customer records that you plan on sending an email out to later, a report from one system that you've downloaded, and as soon as you've downloaded it, that report's now already out of date because it's lost connection to its source. So whilst water in a glass can be quite useful, it's disconnected from where you got that data from originally and creates additional challenges when you're trying to rely on data. And the fourth point is that we have this this fire hose of data here, which is often equated to digital data. So we have our web logging data, we have social noise, we have people watching videos, we have people using your mobile device, your apps that you've created. All of that data is flowing into your organization at a really fast pace, and it's really challenging to get hold of water when it's being sprayed at you through a hose, or get hold of an Acton data that's coming into you at such velocity. Of course, the prize is that if we can start to connect data up and start to have trust in data, which is the large problem if we have disconnected data, we can do a better job of describing what's happening, we can diagnose our issues in marketing, we can predict what might happen next, and we can make better decisions on what to do next. And so our vision as we've entered this project and the proposition we're going to put forward today is that the systems that work together should be able to do a really good job of describing what's happened, diagnosing what's gone wrong, and then predicting and decide what to do. And I'm going to show an example later of how that will happen. Siloed decisions. I found this quote in preparation for the webinar. A man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with two watches is never sure. And again, this is something that just echoes true for every organization we work with. When they are looking at multiple systems for multiple reports, they end up with maybe a sales number as a basic example, sales number from one system that says they've done £1 million worth of business, and another one that says they've done £800,000 worth of business from another system. It's really difficult to trust the data we have when it's coming from so many different tools and those tools are disconnected. And also the other thing that happens is because data is disconnected, if we're making a decision about who to send an email to, we might do that in one platform. If we're then deciding who to serve with personalised and targeted advertising through our DMP or through our media agency, again, very different data sets. We're not making decisions on the same data at that one point in time, and we become like the person with two watches who is looking at two different readouts and unable to work out what time it is. Point 5 is around operational inefficiency, and it's very hard still for organizations to create coordinated marketing plans that work in a coordinated way across channels. And these are some great stats from a piece of research that Braze did. And they found that when a company was using email only to engage its customers, they saw a 54% increase. However, when they combined email and in-app messaging, rather than it just being a doubling of the engagement of email only, actually you got a huge boost, a 6 times boost, a 315% increase in engagement against controls. So by using and coordinating multiple channels, we actually get these huge boosts in what we can achieve. However, the problem comes in that the team who do email marketing may be very disconnected from the team who do in-app messaging. And if we can then combine email, in-app and push notifications together, then we get even better returns on our marketing spend. Cool, so those are the challenges. This is our vision of where we think a customer personalization platform needs to land. Point 1, it needs to provide a unified profile on who the customer is. Point 2, we've got to be able to integrate channels, both those we know about now and are already part of our marketing, plus those channels which may come along in the future or we may develop ourselves. So we've got to be able to integrate everything together. We also need to be able to do real-time processing on the data that's coming into our personalization platform. We have to see what engagement a customer's having with us and then make a decision in real time about what we serve back to them, so that we don't have a lag between when the customer might be in their buying moment to when we finally send them an offer to purchase. We've got to be able to do everything instantly. That was a click on my fingers, by the way, if you couldn't hear it. The fourth point is we need to be able to automate decision making. There was an IBM report many years ago that said that as a CMO, I would like to have one-to-one conversations with my customers, but actually the problem is I've got 2 million customers. We have to be able to automate at scale all of the decisions we want to take. Fifth point is we need to be able to do things in an agile way. So operationally and organizationally, we need to be able to have an idea about what type of marketing we want to do and make that happen, again, instantly. Then the text below is that we have to be able to do this in a way that is transparent and compliant. Obviously, GDPR and PECA have had a big impact on what marketers can do. However, there are still great routes to market that we can all pursue. And for me, I've always hoped that GDPR is a wake-up call for marketers to start respecting the data they have from their customers better and doing better marketing. I'm just going to change tack slightly and just remind people that I am moving at pace here. If you have questions and stuff you'd like me to go back and explain at the end, please don't be embarrassed about dropping a question into the chat, and we'll cover those points at the end. So this brings us to the customer personalization that we have been working on with ourselves plus three amazing technology partners we have. We obviously work with a lot of technologies at CACI, and as we've seen the Braze proposition developed, Snowflake's proposition and Tealium's proposition, the penny has dropped for us, and that we as an organization who's typically supplying marketers have now created the platform that we would want ourselves if we were the marketer. So firstly, we have Braze. So Braze is a leading platform for real-time customer interaction and messaging. That provides the real-time interaction elements of what we need from a customer personalization platform. We ourselves, CACI, as well as being a consultancy, we also deliver technology. We also provide a lot of solutions for customer identity management. We support our clients by sending campaigns on their behalf through Braze's platform. And we're also experts in customer segmentation and understanding how to take a mass of customers and break those up into marketable chunks and bring extra insight into that customer profile. Snowflake are an incredible cloud data platform that have done something that other organizations haven't been able to do in separating the ability to store huge amounts of data whilst also working in real time, whilst also enabling lots of decisions to be made at speed within their platform. So they have the performance and capability to handle the type of data we need to work with as marketers and really accelerate our ideas and turn those into marketing much, much quicker. So the combination of CACI's expertise in data management and customer segmentation combined with Snowflake's cloud data platform brings us our 360-degree customer view. Fourth product, and by no means least in this list here, is Tealium. Tealium's a customer data platform which you will have heard lots about, I'm sure, in recent times. Customer data platforms enable us to connect up all of our marketing technology and create a consistent data layer across all of those marketing tools we use. If we're using 91 tools, as per the stat we looked at earlier, we want to make sure those tools are using a consistent view of the data that we have in the 360-degree customer view, but also that Braze has too. So Tealium provides that connectivity into the rest of our marketing stack. We've now drawn this out into an architecture to kind of show how all three of these platforms work together. So in the first instance, we have Snowflake. So Snowflake would receive all of the data that you wish to put into it from your legacy data systems. It can receive data in batch form, but also in real-time forms as well, or in more regular updates as well. So it's going to be building up constantly a profile of what's happening in your organization and have a true picture of what's going on. We then have Braze, and this is where this architecture really makes sense as a combined architecture, in that Snowflake, Braze, and Tealium have shared real-time connectors, which means any data in Snowflake, Braze can see, and conversely, anything Braze has, Snowflake can see in layman's terms. Braze is going to provide for us real-time interaction with the customer. They're going to be tracking what customer's up to and then serving push notifications to the customer, SMS to them, sending emails, in-app messages, but also what's fantastic about Braze, they have a capability to do webhooks. And if you've not experienced webhooks or heard of them before, a webhook enables you to send a package of data about the customer to any destination that's securely configured to receive that data. This enables Braze to work with the likes of Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, some of the Chinese messaging and app platforms as well. Effectively, anything that can receive a data payload, Braze can communicate with in real time to get messages out to the customer. We then have Tealium as well, which again is on this shared real-time data synchronization between Snowflake and Braze. So Tealium provides that connectivity into our other marketing stack products, whether it's a web analytics tool, Google Analytics, for example. We can serve and gather data from our web analytics platform and then push that through into Snowflake and Braze for better decisioning. Our A/B and multivariate testing tool, again, it can see the same data as is available in Braze and Snowflake, but it can also be gathering data to help us make better decisions. DSPs and DMPs for advertising, but also CRM for call center as well. And then where CACI sits in this mix is we can provide demographics and segmentation to enrich the customer profile. So all of the data that you already have against that customer, we can start breaking down what demographic segments they sit in, what lifestyle variables we have on them, and helping you to build out and round out that profile of the customer. We then have identity matching capabilities. So Tealium will bring together the digital identity of the customer across your digital estate and channels. CACI brings together the physical address name of the customer and combines that with the Tealium data to give you a full 360 view of this customer is this person, their device is this, the website they use is this one, cookie identifiers that are relevant to this customer are this. Obviously, all of that happens in line with the permissions that you've captured against that customer record. Final point is data science, and I'm going to talk a bit more about data science in a second and show how that works within this architecture. But if you have complex lead scoring needs or propensity modeling needs, or you want to identify in real time a behavior that might be a signal that somebody's about to unsubscribe from your mailing list or churn from a contract or take an action, we can apply data science models in real time to this marketing technology stack that make a big difference and drive personalized communications that are super relevant to the individual. In terms of reporting and BI, because of the way Snowflake works, it can connect with any BI tools you might be working with. Tableau and Power BI being very popular with so many of our clients at the moment. So this can hook straight into that, enabling people to generate real-time reports on the real data that's within Snowflake, which it's gathered, again, in real time from Tealium and Braze, so that we have a true picture of what's going on in the moment. We also have the Snowflake Data Exchange as well. And what this data exchange provides is a democratized layer and access to the data that's within Snowflake. So if you wanted to provide your agency with secure access to a segment of the data, you could make that data available in Data Exchange so your agency could work with it. If the finance team wants to query some data, again, you can provide a real-time pipe for them through Data Exchange into Snowflake so they can see what's happening at any time. So how do we make this work with data science and artificial intelligence and machine learning? And how do we make everything work from the same data set? Well, it's worth noting that all of the products have their own AI and machine learning capability. They can do things such as personalize the best send time of a message to increase conversion rate or open rate or click-through rate, whatever it is you're trying to optimize. For more bespoke needs, you may want to develop your own models. And the great thing about this is we're not bound to any one AI or machine learning technology or data science technology either. We can connect with any tool that you want to work through Snowflake. We can also provide access through the data exchange so that your data science team or your agency can work with the data in their tool of choice and then use that either to generate a score that we pass back up into Snowflake, and obviously as soon as any data reaches Snowflake, it's available to Braze and Tealium, or we can pass it back out to Tableau and Power BI for reporting it if that's the need of the data science. So again, that has been considered as part of this, and the great thing we've tried to build into this architecture, working with the teams at Snowflake, Braze and Tealium, is flexibility and connectivity into the way an organization works, because one of our major drivers of this platform is accelerated time to value. So what we've got from this is an ability to tick all those 5 boxes, or circles I should say, get my shapes correct, that we can work with and use. So we've unified our customer profiles, we've integrated channels, and we've even adapted. Do you know what? I have a better slide on this. We've unified the customer profiles into a true 360-degree view of the customer. We've got a single record now for them, and any changes that happen, either customer-generated changes or scoring changes, contractual changes in the finance system, all of that is going to be updated and affected in real time. We've connected all of our tools and channels, and we've got the extensibility through Braze's webhooks, but also Tealium's APIs and SDKs to then connect into any other tools and technologies that we're either not willing to bring into this stack straight away or that are going to be developed later on. We then have real-time synchronization of data, so it's not just about processing data, it's actually about everything seeing the same thing at the same time and every team being able to work with the same data, which, when we talked earlier about the disconnected data and decisions being made in silos, we've crushed that problem now through this architecture. We then need to consider automated decisioning, right? So we have not necessarily automated everything across the stack as a whole and created a centralized decisioning platform that's going to decide everything for them. What we've done instead is we've unified decision making. Braze is going to make some decisions better than Tealium will. Tealium's going to make some decisions on audience better than Braze will. Snowflake is going to provide more flexibility around the decision making that we want to do and enable our data scientists to work with raw data. The crucial point of this architecture is you now have flexibility in the way you work, and your teams are going to be able to be upskilled with this architecture really quickly. Also, we have everybody making decisions using the same data, and any decisions that are taken in one tool being exposed to the other tools in that marketing technology stack. So if I create a campaign and a flow in Braze, I can surface that information into Tealium and then out to my A/B testing and multivariate testing tool to personalize the web experience for any inbound customers. And that's the beauty of the marketing we want you to be able to create through this stack. The fifth point is then enabling agility. So for us, this agility is accelerating the application of insight. So if I work with our data science team at CACI, we create a really cool score of people who are going to buy, let's say it's an FS organization, we create a score of people who are going to take a premium credit card. I don't want to wait 2 months for that data and that insight to be turned into a campaign and then activated on. I want to make that score available instantly to every piece of marketing technology in my stack straight away. And this architecture allows for that. The data science team can experiment instantly, surface that data up to Braze and Tealium to be used in campaigns, and then see in real time what customers are making of that, and then be able to tweak the model and tweak the marketing to improve results and optimize continually. Just a reminder about putting questions in. I can't see any questions at the moment because I'm in presenter mode. I will come back to that in a minute. We've also, in developing this proposition together, we are considering that this is something that applies to all sectors, and just wanted to call out a few sectors that we work heavily in, and we see the need for this in automotive, where typically you've got dealer systems and car model systems and warranty systems that make data very messy to wrangle and deal with. We have financial services where typically product teams are working with their own data sets. It's very challenging to bring that data together to create that 360 view, which is really important for compliance reasons. Media and leisure as a sector, obviously leisure's being massively hit by what's going on at the moment, but media and leisure, you want to be able to keep customers engaged with your brand, your content, whether it's a physical leisure facility you're trying to get people to, or you're trying to get them to engage with digital content. We want to use this platform to serve better marketing. Retailers, this will benefit them massively. Again, for e-commerce only retailers, we see that their architectures have grown very complex, and typically they're bolting on small bits of marketing technology to serve specific use cases. And again, this platform would help unify all of that technology and provide a consistent view of data across it as well to actually serve the right offer message to ensure you're not eroding margins all the time. Telco, massive benefits for this architecture, and utilities again, where customers might be on a direct debit scheme, so not particularly engaged with you in a brand. It's therefore important to manage messaging really carefully throughout the relationship to keep people engaged and ensure that they don't churn and you don't lose people to what they see as being a better offer when they come up for their contract renewal. The benefits listed on the left are the benefits we expect to drive from this. Those benefits will not be the same for every organisation because it depends on what use cases and problems you're leaning into around personalisation. And our preferences, as I'll cover at the end, is to work individually now with organisations who are interested in this architecture and start taking it out to our existing clients and help them see the benefit of this architecture and how this can help them do things such as rationalise their MarTech to save cost, increase retention rates, or manage compliance and regulatory risk as well. I'm just doing a quick time check. I will rattle through this telco case study. So this was a case we've worked on with an international telco. They started from a point of wanting to reach out to people coming up for contract renewal, but they weren't quite sure because the contracts had been sold through a third party when those renewal dates were, and there was a massive risk of churn in a pod of customers. They built the business case, but to develop a marketing plan, they had multiple disconnected data sources. They also had complex permissions across all of those data sources, and they had to consider the fact that for some customers, they were trying to estimate or guess their renewal date, but wanted to find that out from the customer straight away and create a multi-touch campaign across channels to engage people using their app, using their website, but also people on inbound channels such as CRM, as well as direct channels like email, and then post as well, and do that in a really cost-effective way. So in the first instance, data was centralized into Snowflake. Data scientists were enabled to work through Python and create a custom lead scoring model which identified customers who are most likely to churn, but when the expected renewal date would be for their contract. And then that was used to prioritize data and marketing comms into both Tealium and Braze, and the urgency of communication that we needed to connect with customers on. For customers who the renewal date was further out, we could wait and just keep them engaged with more gradual content. For customers who were really close to renewal date, we want to send in-app messages, push notifications, encouraging them to engage with the telco provider. As data hit Braze, Braze was able to then determine what the best sequence of direct communications was. So lower cost, more direct communications such as pushing in-app could be used in a consistent way. Push notification letting people know that there's an in-app message for them, and an in-app message that was personalized based on when the expected renewal date was and how likely that individual was to churn. If people weren't engaging in those channels, we could then move to email and then eventually SMS. So gradually we're stepping up the cost of the channel we're engaging with the customer with, as their score showed that they needed to be more engaged with, and that their renewal date was closer. And the great thing with this is that, of course, because Braze and Snowflake are data sharing, all of that data was available in the moment, in an instant, to be reported on in Tableau, so we could see the level of risk in the customer base. Tealium then steps in to connect up the channels that Braze isn't touching, so web analytics, the A/B testing tool, but also personalized and targeted advertising through the DSP that's managed by, in this case, the agency. Also, we could put this data and expose the data layer of when the likely renewal date was and the risk of that customer churning from a single customer record as well, this is, into the CRM platform, so that any customer calls coming in, the agent would be prompted to talk to them about renewal dates and their risk of renewal and see the right offer to put to that customer in the moment. And with all of this platform, we are creating in the moment marketing both across inbound and outbound channels for the customer. And we were able to, of course, monitor and track what preferences and consent we had to market to and use the customer's data in this way, so that for customers where we maybe didn't know who they were in the moment, or we didn't have a connection to their digital identifier, Tealium can sync up and connect that data for us, and also enable us to personalize a message to them on the web through the A/B and multivariate testing tool. As I mentioned earlier, all the data came back into Snowflake. They were using Tableau to report on that, but also they had the data exchange available for the finance team to be able to track media spend and costs throughout and the ROI on this. The technical benefits, which I get very excited about, are the fact we're making full use of all data here. There's no pot of data that we've not touched in building our scores or in creating an orchestrated experience across all channels. We've got complex bespoke scoring that's then reflected in tools, that's reflected in Braze and Tealium and then passed into the marketing tools, so everybody knows what's going on. We've created a consistent experience. We've personalized to the customer in the moment. So if they take an action in their mobile device and then call the call center is aware of the action that's been taken. We've got that real-time sharing, and we've got complete reporting as well. The financial benefits, which of course the client gets very excited about. I do get excited about these too, but I am a bit of a geek at heart as well. We've got improved ROI versus not having this platform in place. So the fact that we can coordinate activity across channel, the fact that we can reduce marketing costs mean that we've got an improved ROI. We've maximized the amount of reach we've hit. We're not just emailing people we've got an opted-in email address for. We're using our full range of channels. We've accelerated the results as well. We've moved from the data science team creating the model through to executing the campaign in real time and enabling people to optimize it. And then in terms of some of the things we've reduced, we've minimized base impact. So anybody in marketing knows that you typically have product teams coming into you and saying, oh, just gonna market to the whole base with this, you know, send it to everyone. And then they want to do a campaign the next week and you're trying to say to them, no, that the base is now fatigued. Because we have these scores in place and because data is shared and we're orchestrating what happens, we're not having a massive impact on a base, enabling other business as usual campaigns to still run in the background whilst this campaign ran. We're reducing wastage as well, so we're not sending emails, we're not sending SMS that don't need to be sent. We're not doing advertising if people are engaging with us anyway. And also finally, we're able to respect privacy because all of this data is shared and connected, because we're not downloading Excel sheets and sending them off to an agency. Our privacy of the customer is respected and tantamount for this. That brings me to the end. Next steps, really. If this is something you would like to explore a bit more with CACI, but also us bringing in specialists from Braze, from Tealium and Snowflake to talk to you about how to roll this type of architecture out, we'd love to speak to you. My email address is there. We'd like to first start off by assessing the business opportunity, mapping out your existing ecosystem, ideally if time allows and we're allowed out of our homes again, on a whiteboard with you, and then creating a value-based roadmap of how you move forward on this. We're also going to be putting a white paper out around all of this content today. That'll be coming out soon. I personally love the cover of it, and I think I've got a shirt that matches it too. And yeah, just as I say, get in touch with us. We're happy to talk about anything. I think I'm hitting 42 minutes there, which is a wee bit over the time I was allowed, so thanks for bearing with me. I'm not sure if there have been any questions though. Let me see if I can see anything. So I'm seeing one, I think it's just been sent to me here, which is asking about if we have existing marketing technology, will this work for me, or do I need to replace everything at once? So yeah, it's a question that we've considered as we've been producing this this proposition and working through the architecture options. Because of the nature of it, we want to focus in on replacing the bits of your technology first that are going to deliver the maximum value. If your biggest challenge is around data, then Snowflake's going to be the natural first point to start collecting all data together. If you are at a point where your ESP and your push messaging system and your mobile app aren't doing the right thing for you, then we probably start with Braze. The point is, though, this architecture works together in great harmony, which is why we need all three vendors eventually to be part of your stack. However, getting there is a journey, and that journey is value-based. So I think I've danced around that question, but I'm not sure if I'm seeing the right stuff. Yeah, in terms of questions. Here we go. Cookie question. So I'm just struggling to use GoToWebinar here. So question one is, question two now. Which tool or tools are used to create unified, consistent audiences, and how to manage this across multiple teams, across the business, data, product marketing, ad ops, etc. Great question, which is, you know, one of those organizational challenges with doing personalization. We're using a range of tools. So Tealium will be providing the ability to connect up the digital identifiers of who a customer is. CACI would be then bringing all of the data that you're putting into Snowflake and then identifying match keys in that data. So that may be fuzzy matching on name and address, using address files then to connect up who that customer is. And then as we see customers interacting with more channels, we can start to connect the Tealium record of the digital customer with the actual identity of the real human, the address and the name and the gender and the age, etc. So it's a mix of Tealium, Snowflake, and CACI's proprietary technology to do matching that delivers that. How will this support my digital media spend consolidation? As I tried to show in the last case study, this is by coordinating all of this data and being able to make decisions on who you need to market to through digital media, you're better able then to reduce actual media spend. So if you can engage on more direct and cheaper channels, or do a better job of engaging on inbound channels, then you need to spend less through digital media. Overall as well, this personalization platform will improve conversion rates on the website, because your A/B testing or conversion rate optimization tooling will have the same view of data as all your other systems. You're able to do a better job of serving a message or an offer that converts that customer, and if they don't convert in the moment, doing a better job of then retargeting them and connecting with that customer. But we'd also, probably going back to Chris's question there around coordinating that data across multiple teams, Snowflake's data exchange will do a fantastic job of that, as will Tealium's connections into the DSP. A lot of challenges around GDPR, absolutely, and behavioral profiling. We would need to work with each individual client on what their data enables them to do. And I said on the next steps that one of our key setups for this is mapping out your data ecosystem and understanding where data's come from and what permissions you have against that. So what if you don't have Tealium and you have other platforms instead? Yeah, absolutely. We built this having considered the other marketing technology platforms out there. And whilst it would be not my job to criticize any platforms, this is about saying these three vendors of Tealium, Braze, and Snowflake have been engineered and architected to work together in a way that is perfect for what the modern marketer needs to achieve. So yeah, we're kind of backing this proposition, and that's why we're excited to get it to market and share with everyone. Right, I think that's wrapped me up on questions. We have recorded this webinar today. As I say, my email address is on the screen, so if you have any other questions that you didn't want to ask in the session, or any feedback on this architecture, please do get in contact with me and I will reply within an hour. Those are my KPI I'm setting for you all. So thank you very much for listening in today, and I hope that you've enjoyed this webinar as much as we've enjoyed preparing this and sharing it with you. Thank you.